And here we go. That will be one of the most important videos because it will give you clarity about the overall picture and will show you how to identify the different cycle variations. Because so far we have the normal starter kit version, right? The normal daily cycle. We have a lot of other cycle variations. We will dig into the in this video as well. And it's very important that you understand on a bigger picture and even also on the higher time frames of what to expect for the day, so you can already have a good understanding of what should happen the next day based on the previous days. For example, if you check the higher time frame, looks like this, right? And we have like a medium inducement, right? And then on the intraday perspective, obviously it pulls back, and then we have like an Asia range in here, right? Of course, we have imbalances, for example, in here. We know this is a medium inducement of the 1 hour. And then the next day, it makes something like this, London open right into this mitigation of the 1 hour imbalance zone, and here mitigates of it, right? Then we have a very good understanding, okay, this in here could turn into like a bigger cycle play, right? But not into a normal cycle variation, because we're trading away from a medium 1 hour inducement, for example, right? So the overall picture will become much clearer in this video. So pay attention a lot and make a lot of notes and try to follow up properly, okay? Because what we covered so far, the normal starter kit, right? Where we have our normal Asia range, the normal day. We have our external inducement when again structure externally gets induced. Again, at this point, like is the push in here to here, right? That's the equal highs in here, then it's getting induced here, so it becomes a minor inducement externally. Internal inducements, for example, this one, right? Again, this push all the way up to here, like technically even this one from here to here, happens inside of this push, right? Building up liquidity, inducing it into mitigation away from this minor inducement. Also can be a medium inducement on a bigger picture if there's something to the left out in the lit logo, right? And then again, you're trading away from that, and then you're having a minor cycle in here, build up inducement into mitigation, and then trading away from that as well, away from a bigger cycle into smart money trap, gives a reaction, and maybe this one in here also becomes a smart money trap, could become a for fuck's sake as well if it shoots straight through it, but that should be very clean. Then again, timing aspects to it, you already digged into it a little bit. London Open can be Frankfurt Open. Magic manipulation minutes, 1 or 2, or in this case, this would be 1, this would be 2, right? And then, for example, for the perfect daily cycle, this would be New York Trap, and this would be New York Open, right? And then London Close would be something here. And that's how the overall cycle gets confirmed by timing as well. So if you haven't already, then take a piece of paper and draw this out. The first cycle variation, the starter kit, essential. Again, not every day will look like that. It can't, obviously, it's not possible that every day looks like that. That we will dig into more cycle variations, but this is your bread and butter. If days like this happen, you have to catch everything. Slowly but surely, that's the time where you should open up with everything. And that's like the Mona Lisa days where we catch obviously the buy in here, the re-entry in here, the re-entry in here. Again, maybe if you really wanted to, the hedge trade in here, just a little pullback trade, potential re-entry in here, but those 1, 2, 3 are your main entries in here, right? And then obviously you close everything after Asia it's getting taken out, and then you prepare for the reversal trade in New York Trap and London Close in here, right? That's the Mona Lisa days where you dig into it very much and have to catch them at some point, right? But then obviously flip it around also, because again, it doesn't only look like this. You can flip it so then inducement happens to the high side, right? But what cycle variations do we have as well? The London knockout, because sometimes, of course, New York Trap or New York Session in general will not be a reversal, but a continuation, depending on, we will dig into it, the higher time frames and what's going on to left and what happened already, right? So what's going on in here? You have your normal Asia range as usual. You have your minor inducement, maybe medium inducement, right to the left, potential as well, but minor inducement out of Asia range. And then maybe medium inducement somewhere to your left. And then let's say on a higher time frame again, in this scenario again, we would have something like equal lows in here, right? Maybe even triple bottom, and then boops, smoked it. And let's make it very obvious, for example, okay. And now obviously we're having this internal breaker structure as well. And now let's say Asia range forms in here, gives you the play, minor inducement, still minor, but then boom, into this one. Or let's make it actually super obvious. Okay, so let's make it even the cycle plays even nicer. That's your inducement plays with mitigation areas left and balances. The next day gives you a nice starter kit play, right? So again, this technically London Open in here. That's New York trap time, and then the day ends like this. Okay, then you see already, okay, this could act as your double bottom in here as well, right? The next day opens like this. Okay, so fakes, breakout low, gives you again the double bottom of maybe Frankfurt, and then swoosh, induce it becomes a medium inducement, but into the 1 hour mitigation zone in London time. That becomes your Mona Lisa scenario. And then you're having your medium inducement, right? Again, then you have your minor build up in here. Then you have another medium inducement into the other medium inducement into mitigation. London is perfectly on time. And then you can expect like the day to smoke out of there like this. And then the whole day will just be an one-sided inducement to this one direction low. And then the rest of the day, they grabbed enough liquidity so they can continue for the overall day. And we don't expect a New York reversal. We expect a New York continuation. And then we can enter here, here, and obviously here, right? But it's very important and essential that you understand the bigger picture of these scenarios, and you have to combine it with the higher time frames to get a good understanding of when to expect what cycle variations. Okay, but for now, just understand that the cycle variation is a possibility. Again, not every day is having reversals on two sides. It can be a continuation day, of course, and one of them is the London knockout, where they gather so much liquidity in London session, or the early session, can be Frankfurt as well, and then just induce so much liquidity to the other side, and they kind of rapidly smoke out of it, and there's no liquidity left, so they can just continue in one direction the whole rest of the day. Okay, so that's the London knockout. London knockout because the knockout move in the wrong direction happens during London time. Again, can be Frankfurt. Mona Lisa scenario is when it happens in London. That's why it's the London knockout. Okay, then we have the retail heaven. That's when, for example, we have the same scenarios. Let's say again we're having medium inducements to the low side here. Boom. Okay, then this is our medium inducement on the 1 hour, for example, and then the next day opens like this. Okay, so Asia range, and it induces to the high side. Okay, so again, technically, yes, we could say, oh, maybe it comes back to the extreme. But again, maybe this medium inducement induced so much liquidity that it's not necessary that they come back one more time to low side and they're just off of it. Okay, because again, you're trading away from the medium, especially if this is a major one, then you could be chances could be very high that it's just going out of the whole day and go in the same direction they induced once already, because the liquidity was gathered and grabbed already enough in the medium or major inducement. Okay, so that means you're looking for continuation trades. For example, something like Asia midline. We will dig into it in the additional conferences a little bit more as well. But just for now, understand, okay, we have our key points of liquidity. Asia range is always a key point, liquidity point, right? Where we have Asia highs, Asia lows, and Asia midline. And if they induce low side, of course, they want to grab at least a little bit of liquidity before they can continue the continuation trade. And usually they do it based off the Asia midline. Again, if there's some plays in here as well, like building equal lows, something like this, and then like grabs the liquidity low side, okay, boom, and then high side as well, leaves the imbalances in here, right, and then comes back to the Asia midline. Again, we will show it, look at these cycle variations a little bit more in detail, right? But best obviously is if you have some sort of, let's say, liquidity buildups in here, equal lows, right, and then grabs that, boom, have like the imbalance zone in here. It would look like something like this, right? Imbalance zone like here, mitigates that it's also Asia midline, and then can continue the push to the continuation side, right? But so be aware, again, just because it induces out of Asia range to the high side, that does not, very important, write that down, does not mean we need to have a reversal all the time. Again, if it happens, it's the perfect Mona Lisa days, but it has to be aligned with all the higher time frames as well. Again, if this, for example, right here, boom, that's a major inducement of the previous day, and then you have an inducement to the high side in London, but this in here would be a major inducement. You want to trade away from that. Of course, the push can happen one-sided direction for the whole day. Then you just have to be aware, okay, we have an inducement high. I want to trade away from the major inducement on the bottom here. So where's my continuation entries? Asia mid, or can be also Asia high, depending again of how the picture shows and what's going on in there, and then we can look for the cycle variations. But Asia mid and Asia high, that's our two key points we can focus on, depending on again what's going on to the left and what the cycle presents in here. You'll also have something called the entry helper. We will dig into that after in the next topic, where it can give you additional confluences to make it even clearer. So for now, note down that again, just because if the inducement happens out of Asia range to the high side, it necessarily doesn't need to go all the way to the reversal side and then whatever like done this. No, it also can induce high, then grab some liquidity internally and then continue to the same side. And we expect also a New York continuation trade. So technically, we're looking for London continuation trades and New York continuation trades. Why is it called retail heaven, you ask? Because again, what the retailers see, they see a channel, a trend. It's only going in one direction. So if they get the direction right, they feel like they're the kings and whatever, they're in heaven. So guess what? That's why we just call it the retail heaven, because it's just a trending day where retailers, if they get the direction right, obviously they're having a good day because it's just a trending day and they come up with like, oh, the trend is your friend and all that stuff. And yeah, they're having a good day if they catch it. If they would look for reversal trades, they're getting smoked completely. So technically, retail heaven is a reversal trader's hell, but a trend trader's heaven. Okay, so technically, you can call it a trend trader's heaven and not even a retail heaven, but as whatever retailers like trends, we just call it overall retail heaven. Okay, so reversal hell, but overall retailer heaven, and we only should look for continuation setups in these scenarios. So in a nutshell, that's your three major cycle variations you should focus on. So the fully daily cycle, the London knockout, the retail heaven, and also, I didn't put it onto this illustration, but also the Asia whipsaw, right? But again, we have Asia range induced in here, boom, smokes Asia range, that becomes the Asia whipsaw, and then you expect to smoke the highs again, and then it can do whatever it wants after there. But we have expecting like a whip out of Asia range, then whoop, the whole Asia range gets smoked in the other direction, and then you expect this high to be taken out again. So taking out the highs and lows after each other all the time. Okay, so that's the Asia range, Asia whipsaw as well. Obviously, there's a whole video about that as well, and we will dig into more examples also in this one. So that's technically your 4 cycle variation we will have: fully daily cycle, London knockout, retail heaven, and Asia whipsaw. Okay, so let's dig into how to identify potential cycle variations before they even happen.